The spoken language in the human species has been in existence for over 6 million years. However, the act of reading has only existed for a mere 6,000 years or so. The written word is an invention that began with the logographs created by the Sumerians and evolved into the reading of digital media that exists in the 21st century. The history of education is essential to, and in essence coexists as a direct reflection of our culture. Therefore, since all education involves some form of reading, an examination of significant cultural and educational events throughout history will provide an insight into how we, as humans, learn to read. In Kleinman's article written in 2000, he states, "Technology can affect what needs to be taught, how it can be taught, how classrooms are organized and managed, and the roles and expectations of both teachers and students." During this video, we will explore technologies that have affected reading instruction in the past, present, and the future. The first major technological advancement in reading was the printing press. Invented by Johann Gutenberg in the 1440s, it is quite possibly the most important invention in the history of reading. Where once the written word was created by hand and access was limited to the religious and societal elite, this machine brought the written word to the masses. Compulsory education in America began during the colonial period. During this era, students often used horn books. These paddle-like primers were often made from wood, bone, or other natural materials and featured the letters of the alphabet. At this time in our history, the act of reading mainly consisted of oral reading. Children were taught to read via the alphabet method. Another piece of colonial reading technology was the primer. This served as the colonial child's first introduction to reading as well as Christianity. This mainstay of colonial reading instruction was imported from England as early as 1655 and directly reflected the Puritan values of the day. The most well-known version is the New England Primer, published in 1727. It featured alphabet verses with religious and moral messages, Bible passages, the Lord's Prayer, and the Apostles' Creed. During the 19th century, proponents of education such as Horace Mann began to spread the idea of reading for meaning and the whole word method of reading. Reading text now featured levelized stories called readers. The Worcestershire Primer of the English language was unlike any previous text. It featured instructions to the teacher, pre-reading activities, and suggested methodologies such as teaching whole words before proceeding to analyze them. Another technology that revolutionized education in the 1800s was the chalkboard. Before chalkboards, teachers had no means of visually representing and presenting information to multiple students at one time. Supplies of pencils and papers were often in short supply or unaffordable for families. Students sat in schoolrooms with handheld slates upon which to write assignments. Even one-room schoolhouses in rural America were able to use this innovative teaching tool, which became a fixture in classrooms for nearly 200 years. Thanks to the Industrial Revolution and mass production methods, the pencil became widely available during the late 19th century and gradually replaced the use of slates by students. As simple as this technology may seem, where would today's classroom be without them? During the 1920s, radios were the new technological revolution. According to the New York Times article by Wilson, Orellana, and Meek, in 1925, New York City's Board of Education was the first to pipe lessons to schools through a radio station. Over the next 2 decades, schools of air would broadcast programs to millions of students. The next few decades saw the invention of many other tools that aided in reading instruction, such as the overhead projector, educational television, and the film strip viewer. The late 1990s saw a technology explosion in the United States. Computers were now commonplace in nearly every classroom. Kleinman states, "Computers are powerful and flexible tools that can enhance teaching and learning in innumerable ways. Computers can be used in positive ways, such as to help make learning more engaging, better address the needs of individual students, provide access to a wealth of information, and encourage students to explore and create. Kleiman also goes on to say that schools spent an estimated $6.9 billion in 1999 on desktop computers, servers, routers, wiring, internet access, software, and everything else involved in making modern technologies available to schools. First developed in the 1990s for use by the military, the interactive whiteboard evolved into a tool used in many classrooms today. These interactive boards are a modern update of the traditional chalkboard and provide an interactive reading experience for students. This type of technology fits into a study by Breyerbach, Walsh, and Banata, which found that students reacted positively to lessons that integrated video conferencing, internet assignments, content-specific software, and presentation software. They also found using technology to support their own learning beneficial, and derived explicit strategies for infusing technology into their own teaching. Perhaps second only to Gutenberg's press in terms of its revolutionary impact on learning, the Internet came into widespread use during the early part of the 21st century. Students now have a wealth of knowledge right at their fingertips. Students can search the World Wide Web for books, articles, games, or videos that can help advance their reading skills. The modern classroom now has everything from laptops to iPads, and students are experiencing reading using digital media in an unprecedented way. Hallstrom and Guyberg's 2009 article says, "The history of technology can play an important role in illuminating the fundamentals of technological change, but it is important that technology teachers, teacher educators, curriculum developers, and researchers can be provided with good analytical tools for this purpose." From Gutenberg to Google, the last few hundred years has seen unprecedented technological advancements. 100 years from now, one can only imagine the type of technology that will aid students in the advancement of their literacy education. I hope you've enjoyed this look at reading technology in the past, present, and in our future.